Hey, welcome to the Gig Life Podcast. I'm your host, Stevie Taylor. I hope you're doing good. I hope you're okay, staying safe and being well. Just a quick reminder that this podcast is free, always has been, always will be, but if you find some value in it, you can drop us a donation. All donations go back into the making of this podcast. Just head over to thegiglifepodcast.com and click on the donate button and just roll with it. Okay, episode 90, Andro Martinez. Here we go. My guest today is Andro Martinez. Andro is an outstanding guitarist, audio engineer, producer and songwriter, having worked and played with many of the best, which include Darryl Beaton and the D1 Cartel, Gang of Brothers, which includes Dauno, Banel, Fenix, Martinez and Buddy Siolo. He's recently engineered and mixed Carlos C. Major's new upcoming album out of his recording studio, Martinez Productions, which he shares with his partner and artist, Lily Guerrero. He's currently producing EPs and tracks for a whole bunch of artists out of that studio. We talk about his early days in Chile, touring around with his father, the great Victor Martinez, watching his shows from side of stage, moving with his family to Sydney, not speaking any English, yet he and his family found their voice through their art, their music. We talk about musicians, gigs, the recording process, influences, inspirations, gear, friends, and music. This one's been a long time in the making, so I'm pretty stoked to bring it to you. Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for Andro Martinez.
Create your passion.
All right, I think we're rolling. Andro Martinez, welcome to the Gig Life Podcast.
Hey man, how are you, Stevie?
Good, bro. We've just we've actually been chatting for the last 15 minutes, but we've both had technical problems.
I know, not very good when it's coming from a studio, right?
I know. And look, can you hear me? It looks like I've frozen again on Zoom. But
yeah, you're frozen. You're on a smile. You're not stopping smiling, man. It's frozen. I hope it's frozen.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it'll be super creepy.
Oh man, hope it doesn't stay like that. And actually, it's not a bad smile. Looks all right, eh?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. It's like everything's funny.
Yeah, as long as it's recording, man. So, bro, what's been going on?
Oh man, I've just been, man. There's so much, I mean, it's so hard to kind of summarize it into a couple of little words, man.
Yeah.
But during the pandemic, man, I've been busy in the studio, man. I've just been doing lots of stuff here in the studio.
Yeah.
As you know, I got my studio, Martinez Productions, and I've been doing all sorts of things, from recording people to making my own music and production, etc. Mixing, yeah.
Yeah, like you said, the pandemic thing, and yeah, it seems you are really active in your studio, which is really good. Now, when all that pandemic hit, what did you have what did you have coming up gig-wise, and what got blown out?
Well, what got blown out? I mean, a lot of things got blown out. We had, there was a lot of weddings and things that were coming up. There was a lot of, I was doing, up until March, I was doing, average 7 gigs a week, That was the average on when it was getting quiet. That's been sort of the average quiet months,
Yeah.
when it's busy, man, I've been like pretty much gigging every day. And then, mainly from Thursday onwards is 2 or 3 every day, So it gets really crazy. It gets really crazy. And, to be honest, 2019 up until the end of 2019, it's been one of my busiest years ever. That year, it's just been so crazy because number one, I was really busy with gigs, and number two, my studio got really busy. But basically, I had two jobs. So I had the jobs. Actually, I had three jobs, really, if I think about it. Three jobs. Because I was booking the gigs and paying everyone and pretty much running a payroll where I was booking a lot of gigs.
Yeah.
So I had a lot of people that I was employing to fill in for me, and also to do other gigs that I was booking, a couple of venues that I had ongoing as an agent. So that was a side gig that I had, out of besides playing. And then the studio I was doing on average 3 days a week here in the studio, full days, So that was up until, like I said, up until pretty much March. It was super crazy. So I was about to collapse and die. So the pandemic saved me. Actually,
it's kind of a break.
Well, man, I had a forced holiday, from the beginning. Like at the beginning, like everybody else, I think we all panicked and kind of I locked the door and I went, that's it. I'm not doing anything. So I spent a lot of time watching Netflix and doing all that kind of stuff. And then, I when JobKeeper started to come in and I went, that's it. I'm gonna keep, even if I'm not getting paid, I'm gonna get busy, And I've been flat out ever since.
That's good.
Yeah,
man. That sounds like you took a big hit. It's just all gone overnight, like literally overnight.
Yeah, I took a big hit, but in comparison to I think what I'm trying to say is that in comparison to other people that have been affected by this, and in other countries the way they've been affected, I think we're okay. We're very lucky. We're getting looked after. The government hasn't left us, up and dry like some other governments have left their people in other countries that I've seen. Like people are starving. So, and there's craziness going on. But I mean, music has stopped in a lot of ways, but it's also created, I think, a gap for a lot of people that have been kind of slaving themselves to the music without a direction. So now this kind of restarts your mind and it lets you kind of rethink strategies. So it's all about, I think it's about reinventing yourself every time that things happen, and that's the industry. It's like, if you really look at it really closely from the beginning to now, like when it's been an actual electric music industry of what we've seen, it has always evolved and changed and evolved and changed, and things change, and then there's a drastic change. And I think in the last few years we've seen some major drastic changes, and it's whether we like it or not, the changes that are happening. And I think it's up to each individual to take it as a depressive moment or to be able to try and morph with the situation if it's possible, that's I'm not saying that I've done that. I'm just saying that that's probably the best way to look at it, and to try and find an angle in what you do as a musician or an artist or anything that you do to be able to kind of keep doing the things that you do. Of course, right at this moment, we are very lucky because we're getting job seeker and job keeper payments that are coming in as a bonus for us for during this time. When those things are gone, we'll see what happens. Whether these events apply.
Yeah, you put a post on your Facebook, a couple of weeks ago now, asking what people's plan B will be once the job keeper and the seeker ends. Yeah, right. And there's some pretty interesting responses in that. Now, what's your plan B? I guess you've kind of already got it. You've already set it up, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a plan B. It was just a plan that I was. My plan was to kind of slow down on so many gigs and kind of focus my energy in the studio, because I've spent so much money here. And I've always been a producer. Yeah. And in the last few years, I've been trying to make the turn back to this. And the pandemic has opened that door up for me to kind of take it, be able to switch the business and focus on, put the energy, focus on this. Am I getting away from the gigs? No, I'm just, because the gigs are not there, I'm just not doing it. Yeah. Having said that, this weekend I'm busy. I got gigs. So
yeah, I've noticed too. You've gigs. A few gigs have sort of started to open up for you, which is good, which it has for a lot of people as well, which is
I've seen a lot of people
great.
doing things and doing things. Let's hope the industry picks up again and everyone's kind of working. Maybe I don't know. Yeah, that's what I think.
You mentioned before you can take it two ways. You can either go the depressive state, that route, or you can sort of, it's a glass half full, glass half empty sort of thing. Have you, or do you know of people that are in that other side, in that depressive state, that can't get out of it? And have you noticed that with any of your friends and colleagues?
Yeah. I mean, I know people have, we've all been dealing with this in different ways.
Yeah.
At different moments. Like, for example, when it first hit, me and my partner, Lily, that Lily Guerrero, we both kind of went pretty kind of hardcore on the social distancing. And we took it really seriously because what happens is we started watching the news all the time, and then we were addicted watching the news. And then it was a bad idea, because we were watching it so much, and we were kind of like, oh my God, all right, like there were things going on. And then, but I think it was really important that we took it seriously because I guess if a lot of people did what we did, which was take it seriously, maybe that's why we slowed down in Sydney, in New South Wales, If we didn't take it seriously and we went to Bondi Beach and had a party, like a lot of people did, then maybe things would be different, in Sydney or or in Australia for that matter, if we didn't all take it seriously. But yeah, I mean, that's my that was at the beginning. What was your question? It was, what's my plan B? No,
we went past that. Have you noticed people that have gone the other way, like have stayed in that? Because like you said, you guys locked the doors, went into lockdown, as did my family. And, and then you're talking about, like, we're all confronted with the news, and it's no secret that, a couple of weeks in, it hit me really, really hard. And really, really hard. It was all of a sudden,
Yeah, it was the thing is that something like this has never ever happened, at least in 100 years or whatever. I mean, the last major things that have happened that have affected us directly as humans, maybe not as humans, but I mean as people. For example, in Australia, maybe it was the World War II when the Japanese when they got to Sydney Harbour, right? Because that was like, that would have been like freak out, that would have been terrible. Like if it was war on our doorstep. Here in Australia, for example, in Chile, we had in 1973, we had Pinochet, that dictatorship. So that was a big change in time, like big, strong, massive times that I know that things have happened in different parts of the world, like those big changes. So we haven't really, our generations here in Australia, everyone's been at peace. Everything's good times. If you want to make it a good time, you can here. And that's why, like, when something like this happens, it's like really freaky for a lot of people. No one knows how to deal with it. Most of the people here haven't been through ever anything that's remotely likely, like a war or lockdowns or famine or anything like that, except for migrants that have come here that have lived through those things, So we have no idea. My family's we've been through a dictatorship, but I've almost forgotten what it's like, to live through those times, because I've been here, I came here in 89 when I was 14 years old. So I don't remember a lot of those things, but I do remember, but it's kind of distant now, those situations,
Yeah, because you had so many years of not that. Why would you think about that? Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, having just on that point, man, like when I remember when I came here, when we arrived here, because Chile was very political. It was such a strong political tension the whole time that we were there. It was either left or right, with the government, not with the government. It was, people disappearing, abusive police and military, it was a military coup, So when we came here, it was like, bang, it's all gone.
Yeah.
That doesn't matter. And it was like, all of a sudden, it was like all these things that I know about politics that because I was really into it, It felt like, I don't have to talk about this stuff anymore. Yeah. We don't have to stress about this guy. Like, these discussions don't really mean a thing anymore here, because it's you start to realize that we're actually in a place where those things are like really alien to people. Like it doesn't. Yeah. That's why I don't want to get into politics, as we'll only talk about politics and not music.
Oh,
but
it'll only get so far with politics because then I'm out.
That's right. We'll start fall asleep. Yeah. No, let's leave it there, man. That's it. I mean, that's all I got. That's all I got to say about that. You know.
No, I gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of still going on what we were talking about before about, you take that depressive side of things. Do you know of people, friends, colleagues that are still really down about this, that can't get their head around it? Because I know there's a lot of people out there just struggling mentally. Like we are lucky to have what we have, but I think it's hit a lot of people mentally very hard. Yeah.
I have friends that are doing jobs that they don't want to do.
Yep.
Right. But I also see them as my heroes because they're able to pick up the slack and go and do these jobs, like some working in construction or supermarkets at Coles or retail or at a takeaway shop. I just saw a guy that I know, he's a musician that I work with today, and I went to pick up something to like takeaway, and he was working there, and I said, "Oh man, how are you?" He goes, "Oh, I'm just doing this now because there's nothing going on." He works in the audiovisual side of things, and there's nothing going on in that industry.
Right.
No one's hiring that stuff. So, I don't know how he feels, but it's like, I can imagine that it's kind of like pretty hardcore, especially when you've been doing it full time for a long time. You're doing music only. It's like the auto industry when it's all gone. All of a sudden, what do you do?
Yeah, that's right.
What's your job? They're taking all the jobs away. Then that's basically what's happening here. Like, but even further, because what we do as musicians and artists, it's music.
Yeah.
If whether you're in the whole sense of the word, music, it relates to so many other jobs that you can do in that, but all that industry has stopped. But like I said, I think it's important to, out of the people that I know, I think it's important that they keep the focus on where their heart is in, and that's their art, And the pandemic has done that, I think, in a way, man, where it has made people go back to basics in some of these things, rather than, because we couldn't chase the dollar for 4 months now.
Yeah.
There's only been a few gigs now that are starting to come back, which now we can start again, kind of getting paid and things, slowly. But for the whole time, you couldn't chase anything. So it was all about, what if you wanted to be creative and wanted to write or wanted to look at your life, you could. A lot of us never had time to do that. So for me, it has been a positive thing in a lot of things, in a lot of ways. But of course, like there's the negative side of it too.
Yeah.
But the positivity, I'm trying to focus on the positive of it.
Yeah, good stuff. Now, with having the studio, there's a lot of creatives out there that went away into their rooms and their little studios and started creating. And there's EPs getting written and there's albums being written. And I'm sure those people are starting to come out of the woodwork and are wanting to come and record them professionally. So for you, man, what a great time. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's been great for that purpose. And I've been working with different people. I've been doing recordings for different bands. I've had a few bands that have come and recorded, or single artists. There's a young girl that I'm producing an EP for her at the moment, and that's it's ongoing. So we're up to song number 4 now. Also working with Paulini, we're writing stuff together and producing stuff. So that's exciting. I'm doing these other tracks with this other young dude called Leroy, and they're sounding great. And there's a whole bunch of other things, that I'm doing that have also have opened the door for me to do other things that I didn't have time to, that I wanted to do, but I couldn't do because my focus was somewhere else. So this has refocused me, and it's actually brought a lot of things into my attention, and maybe has shifted my idea of what I really wanted to do. Now I have maybe more of a clearer picture. I don't know. It's a weird one, man, because it's, you get thrown in You get we've all been thrown in the deep end, and okay, who can swim out?
Yeah,
pretty much, man.
yeah. It's funny that just going on that. You know, when there was a lockdown, not many cars on the road, shops were empty. When you did need to go out, it was kind of cool because there wasn't as many people around, and things started getting relaxed, and then you have conversations with your friends thinking, man, when this is over, you know, everybody's going to be more relaxed and laid back and not going to go out as much. Fucking bullshit.
Yeah, man.
It's just like it was almost, eh? Like, we're having this conversation and we're talking about that stuff, but it just never happened, man. It's just those roads, the roads are packed again, and the shops are packed again, and
everybody needs things, man. Everybody needs to work. Everybody needs to go shopping. People need to go out. Lots of people. See, sometimes I think that a lot of people would agree with what I say in things. It doesn't matter what I'm talking about. And then I realize that maybe I'm only 3% of those people that would agree with me really when I think, and then I go, what's wrong with the world?
I know.
Are they crazy? You know, like why doesn't anyone think like? And then you like even when you see, you know, politicians get elected and you go, how can this happen? You know, where is the risk? What are people thinking? And then it makes you realize, like, a lot of the time it's like we live in a little bubble. Like Facebook is like a little bubble of people that, you know, there's all these creative people that are in a little bubble. We all say the things that we're all kind of spiritually connected and, you know, pacifists, and we love nature. You know, there's all these people that I'm surrounded with that we all have those kind of similarities, you know, but you realize that it's just a little bubble, man.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it is, eh? Yeah, you just got to find your little spot in there somewhere, eh?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. All right, man. Let's roll right back to early days, back across to Chile.
Yeah.
Let's talk about how it all started for you, like your very early childhood days. Talk about your father, Victor. Famous classical acoustic guitar player. I had Dauno on the show very early on in the podcast, and he talked a little bit about your dad. I'd like to hear you also talk about him and about your mother Gloria and that family life in Chile and then that decision to sort of move. Because like you said, you were 14, so you probably would have had a fair idea kind of what was going on.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So, well, I was born in 1974, and I was born the year after the coup happened in Chile, the military coup, and Pinochet came into power. So, my dad named me. My name is Andro Tupac, like the rapper, right? But it's not the rapper. Tupac is a revolutionary name. There was from there's two Tupacs in South America that are quite famous. One's Tupac Amaru, which was a Native American Indian revolutionary, fought for his people, for the natives, you know. So that's why he gets thrown into the bag of revolutionaries. Okay. And there was also Tupac Yupanqui, which was another native who was actually a scientist in that. So my dad named me because of that. So that's where my name comes from, just to give you an idea. And my mom named me Andro. That was my mom that gave me that name. I started playing guitar, I think maybe when I was 7, and it was more, I guess maybe copying my dad from seeing him play and things, you know, because you know since I was a baby I saw him playing, you know. They took me to so many concerts when I was little. I went to so many events, cultural events. I went to concerts, theater shows. They used to take me to all these things in Chile. It was amazing. I think about it now, and I think I went to more things over there than here.
Yeah, right.
To be honest,
and with some of these shows, your father performing as well.
Some of them keep perform. The thing is that my whole family's my family. I have a family of artists and music. So my dad's a musician. He's a guitar player. But on my mom's side, we're very close to that side of the family. That's the side that we're close to. On my dad's side, we're not close to anyone.
Okay.
And I don't know why. It's just the way it is.
Just the way it is. Yep.
Yeah. So my cousin, I have a cousin who's an actress, and she was in theater. She is in theater, and so I used to go to all her things, and I used to hang out with her. She was like my hero, you know. I was young, I was a little boy, and then all my cousins were older than me, 4 years older, 8 years older, and 10 years older than me. So they were all like my heroes. I was 5 years old, and one of them was 10. So you know what it's like when you got a little kid, they want to be like the.
Yep.
So they were all artists. They all play guitar. They all sang great. They were great at it, But the music wasn't serious in that time. My dad was a serious guitarist.
Mm-hmm.
So I used to go away, and I started playing with them, with my cousins more. That's where I actually kind of got more interested in the guitar, because my cousins were playing pop songs, and Chilean, folk songs, and kind of like what Lily does,
Mm-hmm.
So that was the vibe of my cousins. Where my dad was doing some of that stuff, but it was all more instrumental, classical, like it was a bit more serious. So my dad was like this deep knowledge of thing, my cousins were like this fun thing.
Yep, I can
that makes
understand.
sense, yeah. Yep. So I started playing slowly, and I went on tours with my dad. That's what I remember, going south, going all the way south to the south of Chile. We went on a tour there, and then we went all the way north to Chile. And he took me out of school. He took me out of school for like 2 weeks to go all the way north. And it was amazing, because we went to every little town. He was playing in every little town all the way up, and then we just came back. And he was playing to full theaters. Like, it was incredible, like that's what he was doing. He was on a tour of full theaters, and people going. He used to do 2 shows. I still remember he used to do 2. I was about 7 or 8. He used to do 2 shows in every town that we played, in the theaters that they had. Like, it was like the main theaters that the little towns will have, right? So the afternoon shows was for all the students of the schools, like the high school and primary schools. They will go there for the show, and the night show will be for all the adults, and you'll have all the people from government will go and watch him. And yeah, so it was. So I remember doing all that, and this has always stayed in my mind, because it was just such an amazing thing to watch him play, and to see like people standing ovations and people going, "Wow, bro!" It was like, has always stayed in my mind. It's like one of the most amazing things that I think it's one of the best gifts that my dad has given me, was actually take me on those things as a memory, And I think that's kind of like, really, sometimes I think like people ask me, what's your biggest influence, and I always I've answered, I love Steve Vai, I love George Benson, and I love Quincy Jones and all those things. But then I have to slap myself in the face and go, no, motherfucker,
This is my dad.
No, it's my dad,
Yeah.
and it's Dauno, and it's Banel, and it's Fenix. It's my family,
Yeah.
and also, of course, my other brother, Buddy, Buddy Siolo. He's also been a big influence on a lot of things that I do, because he's just musically, he's a brother, So, and we've done so many things together. So that's jumping forward a little bit, but yeah. So when I was I wasn't serious in the guitar till I was about 14. So when I was about to leave from Chile, and what happened is that I discovered girls. You start seeing that, my dad was actually really well known, so people will see him on TV and stuff, and then people they'll come. I remember girls coming up to me, "So, do you play like your dad? I saw your dad on TV. Do you play like you?" And I'd be like, "Oh yeah, I play." So I had to like I started learning songs and things, and then just naturally just became a thing, and I just got really into guitar. But I got really into electric guitar. So when we came to Australia, and I was 14, by the time I turned 15, guitar was like what I was gonna do. When I turned 16 and I got my first study payment, because I'd never worked, I never had any money, and we were broke when we first arrived in Australia. But when I got my first study payment, I was on the trading post looking, and then I went and bought myself a second-hand electric guitar and a little amp from a girl somewhere near the house that happened to be selling one.
Yep.
So I went and picked it up, I took it home, and that was the beginning of me playing electric guitar.
Right.
And yeah, so it started. I got right into. And this is because a lot of it, this is because my dad was fueling us with Chick Corea and John McLaughlin, McAvin's Orchestra, classical music, lots of pop. Like he loved Queen and all these things. So we used to listen to all that kind of music all the time. So so the things that when I started playing electric guitar when I was 16, Steve Vai was my biggest sort of things that I loved. I fell in love with Steve Vai, because he was when he came out with Passion and Warfare, that album, which is his big album, his biggest album. I was 16, so it was like, to me, that was like, I've never seen any, and I don't think many people ever seen anything like it, and the playing style, the whole showmanship, when I saw Crossroads, I lost my mind, it was like all those things, all big influences in what I wanted to do. So I started fully following that, I wanted to play like that. So I started playing like that, I was playing a lot of lead guitar and tapping and whammy bar and all that shit, That's what I started doing. And we started playing with Dauno. Dauno was like 12, and Dauno was playing bass. I bought him his first bass, and me and him, we started playing, and we played with this other Chilean guy who was a drummer, and his name was Christian, and he was another amazing guy, man. He was like 15 years old. He was a year younger than me. Never played a drum kit, never had a drum kit, but he wanted to play with us, and then he got a drum kit and he was able to play straight away.
One of those bastards.
One of those bastards, man. Picked it up, and then we were on the same trip. Like he was into the band Yes and Led Zeppelin, and so I got right into those bands too. During that time, the whole, so our music, the music that we were doing, me, Dauno, and Christian, it was instrumental, and it was all trippy shit. We were like tripping out. It was like lots of effects and brown and solos that went on forever. I don't even know how I used to do solos. What drugs I was on. I wasn't on drugs, but I don't know what mental drugs I was on. And so that was the vibe. And then that band broke up. Like it just kind of faded away. And by the time I was 18, 19, 20, somewhere around there, I couldn't afford to go to Institute of Music, so it was like something we couldn't afford. We didn't have money. My family, we didn't have any money. We were broke when we were growing up. And I went to TAFE, and I did a little music course there, and it was kind of pretty challenging because I could really play. Like at the time I was like really sharp on the electric guitar, on solo and all that kind of stuff. So I felt like I was above, but I wasn't. I wasn't. It was just my young mind not knowing any further, And but one of the greatest things was I realized that you could actually record with software. You could use software to record and make music.
What year was that?
That would have been mid-90s.
Okay.
Yeah, mid-90s.
Yep.
And well, before that we had a 4-track, so we used to experiment recording ideas on 4-tracks and stuff. But in the mid-90s, I went there and I discovered that I could do all these things on software. So I went and bought Cubase. So I got Cubase on an Atari. For that lasted for a couple of months, I remember. And then I bought a laptop. A friend of mine hooked me up with an awesome laptop, IBM laptop that I had. And we started making music there, and we used to be able to sample. So Cubase used to have, it was called Cubase Audio XT, I think it was Audio XT. That was the name of it. And then you had 8 tracks of audio, but you could not record anything. It was the time where those features were there. The software was way more advanced than the hardware. The software was like 5 years more advanced than how, and it was been always like that for a long time, but not. I think now is more even, but before that was always the software was way advanced of the hardware. So you were supposed to be able to record, but you couldn't record anything. Like you press record and it'll be like there was not, the sound cards were made to record. It was I used to record little ideas on a sound card that was half duplex. I don't know if you know what that means, but half duplex means that it'll play back like at 8-bit, right? Yep. And you record in like at 16-bit. It was, that's it. So when you heard back, when you press play when you press record, you hear things like, So you had to kind of semi guess what was going on.
Yeah.
So it was like cool just to like put a little sample, you know. So we started sampling, you know. We started using it for sampling, and and then like slowly started kind of it turned into a thing where Cubase, you know, became a Cubase VST where it was a studio, you know. So I started getting right into that. That changed my whole world because all of a sudden I could record things and make a record at home, you know.
Yep.
Like in those years, you know. So we were doing things like that. I did a lot of recordings back then. I did heaps of stuff, and worked with a lot of people. I used to do a lot of demos for people, and you know, kind of like what I'm doing now, but at a small scale. You know, like from my bedroom. You know, so I was doing heaps of stuff in the early 2000s. You know, and lots of things. I didn't stop playing, but I was like not really into playing for a long time because I was so into that. Yeah. Then the shift happened, you know. I started playing more, and we started playing with my dad, Dauno, as a trio, and that really took off. We made a record. It's called New Timber, and we did lots of festivals. We played with a lot of people. We supported so many things. We did all the festivals, blues festivals, and toured around Australia. It was we did a lot with the trio. The trio did a lot of great gigs and lots of functions. It was a full-time gig, and we were getting paid well, you know. So it was great. And we were playing original instrumental music out of all things, you know. So it was kind of pretty crazy that we're actually doing so many things that normally they will have singers and that kind of thing, you know. We were doing our thing, so it was great for a long time. Like everything, you know, as we've all seen it, the industry has changed a lot, and those gigs kind of disappeared for us, you know. So we started venturing. Dauno, when first he started doing more cover gigs slowly, and I started doing a lot of cover gigs too. I followed shortly with that, and that pretty much got me through for a number of years. And then I started playing with Darryl Beaton. Me and Dauno and Fenix came into the picture. My brother Fenix. But before that, the Martinez Acústica trio we started playing as a band with Kevin Mendoza. You know Kevin Mendoza, drummer. So he joined us, and then my little brother Banel also joined Banel Martinez. So it was a full family thing with Kevin, and we also did a CD with that, and in between during that time that kind of started dying off, and we started playing with Darryl Beaton. So myself, Dauno, Fenix, and Darryl, we started doing this thing with Kevin too, and then Yanya Boston joined in. So we were all playing. We did that for a number of years. We went to Japan, and then also with Martinez Acústica, we went to Japan. We do quite a few tours over there with Martinez Acústica. We did TV appearances there. We had a record release over there. The same New Timber album, it got released over there, and it went national over there. It was sold in all the what's it called, the big shop over there, Tower Records. So it was in Tower Records, and we did showcases for Tower Records and all these sorts of things. So it was pretty fun times, you know.
Did you feel famous? Was it like that? Did you have? No.
It was never it was never like that. It was we never got to that level. We were just you know, original artists playing music, you know. So it never got to. It was never like, you know, there was no fame as such.
Okay.
It was
because I know in Asia some acts that might be sort of what's the word I'm looking for? You know, not sort of famous here, and they go to Asia.
Yeah, they're gonna be huge over there.
Massive,
totally.
Like,
No. We did well, but it was never, you know, a fame thing. I didn't have any chicks running behind me at all. So we did that for a few years, and in between playing with Darryl, which has been always and still every now and then we do things with Darryl.
Yeah.
Now originally playing original music, and that was great fun. I got to record and co-produce that record, mix it and co-produce it with him. So that was a lot of fun. That's shortly after that, in 2011, I met Buddy. So 1st of December, Buddy comes to my place. So I met him at a gig just before, and I said, "Hey, bro, do you want to come down and we can do some tracks together?" And he came out. I played him some stuff, and he was right into it, and we recorded. We recorded the first single that we did, the Get Up on Your Feet and Testify.
Yep.
We recorded that on the first day that he came over to he was just coming out to hang.
Yep.
Had a listen to it, and we put the vocals straight away down, and then we had the vocals down off the track. So that was a lot of fun. So we basically got in there and we started recording like crazy, We were recording song after song, There's still got a lot of songs there on the computer that we need to finalize.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah, we've done a lot of things, and that's pretty much the beginning of Gang of Brothers. When we started Gang of Brothers, which is myself, Banel, the other guitar player, Fenix on keys, Dauno on bass, Buddy on drums and vocals, and that kind of kicked off in 2011. 2012, we went to town with all the original stuff, and we did a lot of original gigs. 2013, same sort of thing. And in between that, we were also doing a lot of cover gigs with the band, with Gang of Brothers. So that kind of started taking over the covers, and we've done and that's kind of because we needed to be paid. It was a situation where
families and that kind of stuff. Yep.
Everybody's family started growing. We all kind of. As you get older, we all throughout the years, we're going back 9.5 years now since that happened. So it's everybody. Buddy's had more kids since. Fenix had a kid. I've been with Lily now for 6.5 years, 6 years. So lots of changes in everybody's lives. Yeah, so the beauty of it is that we've all been able to kind of keep going with the music and working hard. Everybody works hard.
Yeah.
All my brothers and Buddy are all hard workers and committed to the craft as much as they can. And as myself, I am too. And as things progress, I was one of the first big jobs that I got back from. I was doing jobs all the time in the studio. After that, and one of the biggest jobs that came through was actually to mix some Veneno album. Some Veneno, yeah. They're Carlos Image's band with the Marine brothers, Steve Marine and Cesar Marine.
Steve was episode 1 of the Good Luck
no
podcast.
Way.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Well, yeah. No, Steve's awesome, and those two brothers are amazing musicians.
Yep.
I really respect all of them, and Ricky, the guitar player, and of course Carlos. That I take my hat off to him all the time because I don't know many people that have what he has, musically and talent and creatively, and so that kind of I worked on that record, mixing it because I had pre-recorded a lot of it. 90% was pre-recorded, so we just recorded a few extra things, and then I mixed the whole album, and that was so much fun. I had so much fun doing that, which made me really rethink at the time, of what I wanted to do. But because I was so busy with gigs, it was really hard to kind of commit my time to just be recording. So every time something will start, something will fail, because right. I'll be so busy with records, so things will get put in the back burner all the time. In between those times, I did a track for Jeremy Gregory. I did a track for him. Seasons, it's called the song. I wrote that with him, and we recorded at the studio, and we did all that stuff. And then we moved about 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago. We moved to this house here where I am now in San Susi. And because me and Lily, we moved in together. Then we weren't living together at the time, and we wanted to live together. And then we found this place, and we were looking for a place somewhere where we could set up a studio. And then this place came up, and it had this extra room in the back that we could use as a recording studio. And I looked at the place, and I saw the room, and I went, "That's it, that's a studio." So so that's how the actual studio, Martinez Productions, as an actual studio, has come about, because it was always a struggle finding somewhere to be where you could actually live in and have a studio, and not have to pay some crazy rent somewhere else for a room, and then
feeling that extra pressure of that. Yeah,
exactly, man. It wasn't worth it because I was too busy doing too many things. So now that that this has become the focus, is great. I really enjoy being able to make music because it's kind of like a different side of it's as beautiful as playing live. So that's how I see it.
Without the lug.
Yeah.
I suppose you could have lug sometimes.
Yeah, it's the mental lug though. It's,
right.
Yeah, it's a lot of it's a lot of hours though. Like it's the commitment to record something and to mix it and to edit it and to fix and to retake and then to process and then I'm not sure if I like the mix. Right. All that kind of stuff. It's like a lot of time consuming, and of course the never-ending pot of buying gear. That never ends. Now that's another thing that we can talk about if you want, man. Like
totally, I've got a bunch of questions here, and talking about engineering and audio stuff and producing and all that sort of stuff. So
go for it.
Yeah, it's cool. We've kind of got through your timeline there, so this is good. We can focus on this other stuff.
Yeah,
and not sort of get lost to where we were. One thing I wanted to go back to, but I didn't want to stop your flow. When you were on tour with your dad, watching him play and seeing all that adoration of the fans and you were kind of going, oh man, this is it. Did you ever want to be that guy though? Did you want to be that guy with the fans and the adoration, or did you just wanted to play?
Look, I think every musician that plays and that finds an influence to give your art out. Not every musician, of course. I'm generalizing, but I think we all dream of fame and fortune. Is kind of like we would all that's why we when we idolize a star, especially when you're in the music and you love music and you see, wow, I wish I could be in that band, like it would be so amazing to be in whatever Led Zeppelin, Queen, or be the guitar player for Michael Jackson, be in Bruno Mars band or whatever, anything. It's always about that. So did I want to be that guy? I'm not sure if I want to. I mean, if it would have landed on my feet, I will take it 100%. There's no doubt about it. You can look at the positive and the negatives of that, but I think as long as you have a level head and you're doing it for the right reasons, and you it's all beautiful.
Cool. Good answer.
Yeah.
Perfect. Perfect. All right. Let's dig a little bit deeper into the whole audio production stuff. I just want to go back to you're talking about Cubase. I started recording in the late 90s. I had a little Tascam 4-track, which
you still got it.
Oh man,
well that's mad.
Actually, I want to pull it out.
Oh yeah, I know those ones.
Geez, the dust on it, far out.
Yeah, I know those ones, man.
Yeah, but you couldn't bounce your tracks on these ones. So it was just straight up the four.
Oh, okay.
The four tracks,
sure.
So where I was living, I had this little house underneath this little room underneath the carport, and I used to sit down in there with that thing, and I had one SM58 mic, I had my acoustic guitar, I got a little Rhythm Doctor drum machine.
Yeah.
Yep. So I'd have my vocal and guitar on one track, and then I'd have this drum machine on the other track, and I used to write down there. And then I can't remember what the first door I got was. I mean, it was on a PC, and it was something, and I remember I bought it it was Harvey Norman, some software, so I ended up buying that, and it was really, really limited. And I can't... Oh, I saw this ad in the community college magazine, Learn Cubase, and I'd heard about Cubase, so I went and did this community college course, right, all on Cubase, and it was on these old Macs. You know the old Mac with the
green one?
No, it had like the bubble, like it looked like a robot.
Oh, yeah, that's the old iMacs.
Yeah, the old iMacs, yeah. So it was on that. So that kind of, for one, introduced me to Cubase, and then two, it introduced me to Mac.
Mm.
So anyway, I couldn't afford the Mac, so I went and got Cubase and just started recording and wrote a whole bunch of stuff on Cubase. And then one day got a Mac and Mac had GarageBand on it and went the whole GarageBand Logic
totally.
route, Yeah. So that's my sort of recording story. Anyway, back to you.
That's bad, man. That's normally what happens, man. My story is pretty much the same. It's we went from 4-track to I went from recording to stereotape, with like recording to decks.
Yep.
Recording some ideas and then playing on top or coming out, and then I went from that to a 4-track. My dad put a 4-track and we started. Between me and Dauno, we were fighting for the 4-track all the time. And then the computer with Cubase, and then me and Dauno will use it. So we'll have to ended up being more like a thing where I'll open the door to go and use it. I'll be like, fuck, Dauno's using it. And then Dauno will open the door and be like, fuck, he's using it. So we used to share the thing,
Yeah.
And then Fenix got into it. He started playing keys. My little brother Fenix started playing keys, and then he started using it. He started, every time we turned around, he'll be in there like playing the keyboard. And then it just became a thing. So it's been a good thing, man. Yeah.
People always talk about, what's the favorite part of recording and all sorts of stuff. What do you find the most challenging part? Let's talk about
challenging.
Yeah.
Look, I think they're all challenging. They're challenging from the moment you open the door and then somebody else is in the room.
Okay.
So the whole thing is a challenge, but it's just how.
So it starts with the people. Obviously, starts with the people.
Yeah. But I think it's depends on, because some challenges are awesome. Like you just won the challenge. Some challenges are not so awesome. You just you can't wait for this challenge to be over.
Yeah.
So what is the most challenging thing? I guess the most challenging thing has been because, if I'm really honest, I'll say that it's been because I've never really both my mom and my dad, they weren't rich, my dad was an artist and he was a musician, and the life of a musician, especially what he did, and plus he had 5 kids, So he did very well in Chile as a musician. We're very lucky, but when we came here, it was reset, start again, everything. There was no one knew him. We were, little aliens in Sydney. That's what we were, and no English, not a word of English. None of us spoke English, man. Right. We came to the hostel. We arrived at the hostel in Villawood as migrants, and then we moved into a house and started going to school, and it was, the whole thing was a challenge, man. But having said that, where I'm going with that point is that I've had to find ways as a musician, and all my brothers is the same thing. We've all had to find our ways to be able to afford the things that we want, find their way, find the path. So when I recorded, for example, the first things that I recorded many years ago, it was all with very basic tools. I had no things, but I had the will to want to do it, and the will to know, and the will to keep going, and the will to not stop, and to never give up. That was the challenge. I think the biggest challenge ever is not to stop. Or I'm not sure if it's a challenge or what it is, but I think I see that as the challenge, to not give up. And as I kept going, when I recorded, for example, when we recorded Martinez acoustic album and Martinez electric band album, I didn't have a lot of tools to do those things, The plugins weren't up to date. I didn't have outboard gear like beautiful preamps and access to Neve consoles and none of that shit. I didn't have none of that shit, It was all through an interface and one Rode mic that I bought, that I've got some money, and I bought that, and we used that. And a couple of other mics. Then somebody lent me an extra mic to record, and that's how we recorded a lot of those things. When I did Darryl's album, same sort of thing, I didn't have. There was some stuff that I had, but I didn't have a lot of things,
So was it a case of knowing how you wanted something to sound and knowing that there's the tools out there to do it? Was it like a frustration that you weren't able to get the result that you wanted because you knew you didn't have the right gear? Was it that kind of frustration or obsession?
Well, it was a frustration, but I worked really hard at polishing a sound to try and get. I was going to say polishing a turd.
Polish a turd. Yeah, that's what I thought of.
Well, I was gonna say that, but I said it. No, but I worked really hard at working with this because a lot of the times the performance and the playing was mad, you know, but like with different things, you know, but I didn't have the right mics. For example, when we recorded with Gang of Brothers, when we did all the stuff that we've done that has been released, I didn't have a good set of drum mics. You know, I had some JTS brand tom mics, which are cheap. You know, they're not. You know, I had one decent kick drum mic, and I had a SM57 for the snare, and then the other ones were a couple of Rode mics, and that was the setup. I'm going straight into an interface. You know, I didn't have a lot of preamps or anything like that. So the sound is not desirable. The sound was cold and sterile. So I had to work really hard to get that kick drum to sound. I had to work really hard to get the bass to feel good and to sound decent, like a lot of processing over and over again.
Yep.
I will spend my money buying great Marshall amps and vintage guitar and Fender amps, but I didn't have enough money to buy and to also be able to buy a channel strip, a Neve channel strip or an Avalon channel strip. I didn't have this kind of money, you know. So it's all happened slowly, you know. But I knew in my head what I wanted to hear, but it just wasn't happening. So what I did is I worked really hard at trying to get those sounds to work. So the Gang of Brothers stuff that it's out there, it was recorded super limited, with limited budget, you know. And at the time, if I can be really honest, when we recorded those things, it was probably the time that I was at the most broke financially, because I lived overseas for 6 months. I lived in Japan for 6 months just before that, before we started recording. And when I came back, I had hardly any work. So it was like real struggle town for me during that time. So I didn't have a lot of gear. I had limited things to work on. And but when we started working with Gang of Brothers, things changed. You know, I started, you know, just the gigs started to come in, so it became a thing, and then we were able to kind of make some cash back, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally.
And because we've been working so hard, you know, all that has changed. You know, like I've been able to build a studio now with the beauty is with I was gonna say my own effort, but it's not true. It's been mutual effort from working with my brothers. I'm working with Buddy, you know, because if I didn't work with them, this would not have happened, because I wouldn't have the able to do these things, you know. It's always, you know, mutual effort, and also the love and the respect that I have from Lily, you know. She gives me so much encouragement.
Yeah, she's awesome, man. She's cool.
She's the most awesome person, you know. She's always right behind me, and I love working with her. And I've been doing her music, doing her tracks. Yeah. So I've been producing all that stuff. We have some new music coming soon with her.
That's cool.
So which is really great, and they're great songs. If I can just go quickly into her.
Sure. Absolutely.
I love doing her songs because she's always has a message, even though a lot of it is in Spanish. So, but even the English stuff that she's done, it's always a message, and it's always something that's relates to her life or that she's touched by, if that makes sense. So there's always a message for her that has a meaning, and I love that about her. That his songs are that, all the songs that she's written, and where I am a little bit different. I have written songs a lot, and I write a lot. You know, I spend a lot. I do a lot of writing. My songs are more about the vibe, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, like in the sense that when I when I record and play, if I'm making a song, because normally my head is in the soul R&B vibe, that's kind of like my head when I'm writing things, it's always got that kind of vibe, So I'm always kind of in the zone of what the moment and what this kind of what does this feel like, rather than I have this poem of a lyric,
Yep.
I kind of work the other way.
I know what you mean.
I have this music, and then what am I gonna say?
Mm-hmm.
Is it a dance floor thing? So I go on the dance floor. So the lyrics are relate to that,
Yeah.
Is it if it's love, I just go, depends on the angle, and also how melodically it feels is what the lyrics to me feel, So that's part of my writing in the studio, and I've been able to do that a lot more lately because of the lockdown. I've had more time, so I had more time to concentrate and do things and open up my vision to work with different people and do different things, which is what I've always wanted to do. I've always wanted to be a producer, and I've always wanted to work with different people and do all sorts of different things, which is exciting. I find it exciting to do those things.
So with that stuff that you've been writing, are you planning to take that stuff that you've written and use it with somebody else?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
So there's not going to be a solo album? Can you announce it?
Yeah. Look. Can I announce it? Look.
No, I'm just kidding.
I'm not because I'm not sure yet what's actually.
Yep.
There's stuff that's ready. I can tell you that much.
Right.
The stuff that's ready, and I'm still kind of digesting which way I'm going to go with it about it. Whether it's going to be the Andro Martinez meets Andro and Andro and Andro, or is it going to be somebody else? Because I'm working with singers that are singing their songs, and like I said to you, one of the persons that I'm working with is this guy called Leroy, and also Paulini. That we've been doing these new tracks that I've been working on, and because they suit them, they that's how I hear it. I hear the tracks and I go, that suits them. When we've done the Gang of Brothers stuff, it's been a bit more kind of, it's a different kind of funk,
Yep.
So that I feel that kind of when we're doing that stuff that really suits Gang of Brothers, and also I've been working with some other people, and the same thing. I'm always trying to kind of hear when we work with Lily, those tracks suit Lily.
Gotcha.
It's a thing. So yeah. So to answer the short question, I'm not sure yet. I'm kind of thinking about it. I'm not 100% sure. Cool. Yeah, I'm undefined.
Undefined. I had a audio engineer and producer on here a little while back, Anna Levity. She's Melbourne-based producer, and I asked her this question because it fascinates me. Talking about audio frequencies. Some people just have the knack of just being able to like hear a sound and know exactly what that frequency is, right? Whereas other people, they need to train themselves, go through that whole from down from I don't know, 20 hertz up to so many kilohertz, right? And they train themselves to know those frequencies, right? Yep. Are you the person that can just naturally hear, say when you're doing a mix, 2K is a little bit too, up a little bit. Can you just pick that's 2K, or do you have to kind of jump on that EQ and have a bit of a fish around and find out where that frequency is?
Look, I have to, before I answer that, I have to go to I have to answer something else.
Yeah, cool.
Before that, because it relates to it.
Cool.
See, and I have to mention my dad because it relates to him too. I know it has nothing to do with what I'm going to tell you, but it has to do with it because, see, my dad knows a lot about theory when it comes to music, right? So when he sees a piece of music, he can interpret it, and he can interpret the feeling of that piece of music and do all those things. I have never really studied musical theory properly. I've always been by ear.
By ear, right?
Like I know how to play chord charts and all that kind of stuff. It's no problem. I can work out music on recordings, and I've done a lot of session gigs like that because I listen to the songs. I went to the US to play with George Benson and all these amazing musicians, and I learned it all by ear. You know, to work it all out by ear, and I don't think it's a problem. Now, when it comes to frequencies and all those things, that's why I had to go there before I answer this.
Yeah, cool. Yep.
When it comes to frequencies and all those things, this again, the same. I'm by ear.
Right.
You know, like I know where the frequencies. I know where 1K is, and I know what's happening at 8K, and I know what's happening at 200 hertz. You know, like I know all those things. When I'm hearing them, and I'm here working in the studio, I know where it is.
Gotcha.
But I'm not. It's not like I'm walking around and I'm listening to music. Oh yeah, that should. You know, there's 2K. There's a problem with 2K in that recording. I never do that. I never but I can hear it. I go, oh yeah, there's an issue with those frequencies at somewhere around there.
I know where it is. Yep.
I know where it is. So the moment I go in there, I start working on there. Now, my mixing style has changed, I will say, in the last year quite a lot, because I started working with this thing called Console One, right, which is by Softtube. The beauty of Console One is that it's hands-on. You know, it's a hands-on tool. It's a controller.
Yep, it's a tactile control. Yep, right.
That's right.
Yep,
and it's a full channel strip. So basically, you start from your. I don't know if you want to hear about this. I'll
please, absolutely. Yeah.
So you start from input, then you got your low cut and high cut, and then you got shape, which is all your gates. Then you got your equalizer, compressor, and then you got your drive section, which simulates the drive of a analog console. Yep. And then your volume, and then it has a fader part of it, which I bought. And there's different channel strips. Anyway, so before I bought Console One, I would use what everybody else did, which is, which I still do, of course. I still use it. So I use a lot of the universal audio plugins. So I use all the Neves and the SSLs and all that kind of stuff that comes in it. So you'll be with the mouse there, flicking, trying to get a sound, and then you'll go and I'll just listen to that preset. Oh yeah, that preset kind of sounds all right on this, and then you kind of shape it away from the preset, right? Yep. Now, what I find is that when I used to do that, and because we all do that, because the mouse slows you down, especially when you got a huge mix that you're gonna mix. When you got like 25 tracks, and that's not a huge mix, but let's even just go down to 16 tracks. Yep. And let's say you got a basic drum, bass, keys, vocals, guitar, that kind of thing. Now, when you're gonna mix all that and you're gonna try and find the frequencies and you're gonna make it sound good, it's really hard when you're working with those with little knobs and an interface that's like nothing is really designed to work on the spot with it. You're not working hands on old school. Or hardware. You can work old school. So with the Console One, I've been able to stay totally away from presets at all. It's all musical for me. Now it's all musical. I'm working with the sound. I'm not working with somebody else's idea of what a 909 or 808 should be EQ'd. Yeah? I'm working with my own idea of what it should sound like. My own compression feel that I feel that it should, where it should sit. Everything is just by, you're really using your ear. That's what I find. So going back to the frequency thing that we're talking about, I understand it even more because of this thing too. Yeah. All that, because I'm actually watching and I'm seeing the frequency where it sits, and I know where it is, and I know okay.
It's off to the left, or it's in the middle, or it's
That's
gotcha.
right. I know that shaker is right there. It's like at 8K. If I push that 8K, I'm gonna be able to hear that little in the shaker a little bit more. Yep. So I've learned to kind of understand all those things more because of this. Because on the other plugins, like I said, they're hard to kind of, because you're not able to use two knobs at once. You're moving one mouse and then you find it, you kind of go, oh yeah, I think that sounds all right. So it's made me a lot better as a mixing engineer. So I've been able to, I feel that when I mix things, they sound better and they feel better. The whole thing. And a big part of it too is that also my gear collection has increased dramatically. you know. So I have a lot of things, you know. I have I have beautiful vintage Neumann mics and new things. I've got lots of outboard now. I've got some Neve stuff, Avalon, JLM audio, heaps of things, you know. Like there's lots of stuff. Plus, I've got a collection of keyboards that you can see.
Yep.
You can see in the image. I got drum machines and like all really hand-picked stuff. I picked everything hand-picked because I want the stuff that sounds the best, you know, to do the job. And that's helped me a lot. That's helped me a lot because a lot of things that like I said, I used to struggle to find the sound. That I knew what was missing. Now, sometimes when I go through these things and I use the right mic and I know it's right there, that's the sound that I was looking for. I don't have to EQ that in.
Right.
Try and find that frequency, you know, like all those things, you know. Yeah.
Have you ever, or do you ever mix with your eyes? What I mean by that is, you know, the digital EQs that we get a nice graphic. Like I've got the Fab Filter Pro Q, and I use that. I use that for, you know, that's my go-to EQ for editing my podcast, and I've got a Waves SSL bus compressor. That's my compressor. I use that for everything, right?
Yeah.
So,
great.
but that EQ, sometimes, you know, I'll have to do some mixing of the podcast, and it's I don't have the opportunity to crank my headphones up or sit in my studio with my speakers, so I'll pull the EQ, and I can look at that EQ and know what I have to pull out. You know, 600's got to come down. There's way too much bottom end there, so you can see it. You know, so you know, just drop a filter in there and pull it out. Do you find yourself using your eyes sometimes to mix?
Oh, a lot.
Okay,
a lot. So it's both. It's visual and eyes. Also, having the right monitoring, it's a big one. But depends what you're doing, of course. Like what you're doing, what you're doing in fixing the sound for the podcast and all that stuff. You got that down pat. You know, you understand what you're doing. You know, it's like everything. You know, like with music here, I feel like I learn every day more and more.
Yeah,
I feel like my ears open up more and more every day in different ways. You know, like in different things that I, you know, frequencies, sounds that I didn't understand before, I understand them more now. And coloration, big one. That's a big one.
Yep.
Coloration, you know, like I'm understanding that more and more. And also real versus digital, you know, and but that again, the same thing, analog versus digital.
Yep.
I worked really hard on my collection of guitar amps, you know, getting like a nice collection of guitar amps and all that kind of stuff. So it's, for me, like having the digital version of a guitar amp sometimes it's really hard because I own a real JTM 45 from the 60s, you know. I own a real Plexi from 68, you know. 69. I own a real blackface Fender Super River. So I know what they sound like, the real thing, you know, and I have them. So I'm able to record those sounds. So that's things I wanted to have for a studio to be, mainly because I want them. It's not because I never was looking at being a commercial studio like 301. That was never my intention.
Gotcha.
That's never been my intention. If it ever happened and it got to that level, great, you know. But it's always been because I want these things for me because I want to use them in my music.
That's
you know?
it.
And then when I make music for other people, they get to use them too. You know. Yeah.
Have you ever seen one of these? Oh, it's for people that can't see. I'm holding up it's actually a Sub Pack S2, and what it is.
Oh yeah, I've seen them.
It's a tactile sub bass system, right?
Yeah.
And you strap it to your chair, and you just pull an output from your So I've got a Apollo Twin, so I have an output coming from my headphone jack. My headphone input in my Apollo, and it comes to the input of the sub pack. And basically what it does, you feel the sub bass, because I'm in a little room and I've got little Yamaha HS10 speakers which have hardly got any bottom end. So I bought this when I recorded and mixed my EP. Awesome. I was having to do it at nighttime, and like before I got this, I would send some music away to a mate to have listened to, and he'd go, "Oh man, it's so boomy." like your bottom end is just so full on, and I'm like, I can't hear it. I don't know, and this is before I could see it, you know. So I made a mind said, hey, check out this sub pack, S2 sub pack. So I bought this thing. Oh mate, it's incredible. I don't use it. So next time I see you, you can borrow it, man. Have a whirl with it. Yeah,
I've seen it, but I never used one. Yeah,
man, it's incredible, and you can adjust the intensity of it. But you know, you can like with just with an audio, like an audio track, so say a vocal track, and you know there's not supposed to be sort of anything less than 50 hertz in there, you know, for a particular song you're doing. You just turn this thing on and you can feel that 50 hertz like buzzing on your back. So you know it's there, you know, because you haven't got your volume up, you can't hear it through your speakers. And I haven't got a sub in here. It's just these two little speakers. So that's what this thing's for. It's awesome, fantastic.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I'll have to check it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
That's cool. What are your thoughts on those web-based algorithm mixing and mastering software things like Lander? You know, have you heard of those things where you can like get your track and you upload it to the site? You tell it what kind of intensity it does it, and it masters that track for you on the spot and sends you back the track.
I've seen that stuff.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's like, again, you know, it's like here's the question is, how do we evolve to this new world? You know,
right.
That's so I can bag it out because I like to bag it out.
Yeah.
But it's how do we evolve so that way we can stay current in that situation, because all those things are becoming more and more, you know, the more and more real. You know, it's you know, like only a couple of years ago, Spotify wasn't around.
Yeah, right.
Only a couple of years ago, you could still people were going to record stores. You know, you know, it's like if you think about it, how much have things changed? So if those things become a new norm, you know, I mean, it's a hard one.
Yeah.
Again, you know, it's always going to come down to this certain people that are going to use those services, and there's certain people that are going to want, you know, I want that guy to actually master my record.
That's
or my record because I know that he does a really great job at doing that, and then and then they're going to go and do that. Some other people are not, you know, some other people that it doesn't matter to them. And is it a good thing, a bad thing? I'm not sure. I mean, the final product will only tell you whether it sounds great or not.
That's it. I think, you know, the people, I'm not bagging everyone that uses it. I mean, I did trial it once.
How was your experience?
To me, everything that I tried it on, it came back sounding really, really harsh. And I'd try all the different settings and whatever it would let me change, I'd change it on one particular, and it ended up sounding like nothing that I'd mixed.
Yeah,
you know, it just took it completely somewhere else. It definitely brought your volume up, of course, and your level, and that might be okay for demos and that kind of stuff, chucking up on SoundCloud, you know, or something like that. But I guess the fear is that if it gets used too much, you know, the younger people coming up, and that's all they use, they'll get used to that sound. Yeah, who knows?
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, I'm not sure really what to say about that stuff, man.
Yep, fair enough.
I like real people.
Yeah, awesome.
For some things, you know. Some things,
I gotcha. Do you have some go-to reference music material that you use?
That I listen to?
Yeah, when you're mixing something? Or do you sometimes have your clients come in and say, yeah, I kind of want the mix to sound a little bit like this?
I get that a lot.
Yep.
I get that a lot. And I think it's always good to have a reference. And like, for example, I was listening when we were mixing, I'll go back to, for example, Carlos' album, when we were mixing that or some Veneno, there was a couple of things that we looked at as reference, you know? And only because I had before that I've mixed stuff more like soul music and R&B music, you know.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden I had to mix Latin music.
Yep,
and
right.
the approach is different, man.
Okay.
It's a different approach. It's like you have to really think about the placement of the instruments is different too. You know, that bell has to really cut through. You know, it has to be round and warm. You know, it's not like in other music where it's the bell is something else. You know,
Yep.
The percussion where it sits, it has to sit right. You know, the congas have to have the slap. You know, you have to hear all these things. In the horns have to be at the same volume as the vocals. You know, they have to be right there on top. You know, they're almost like a vocal line.
Right.
That's how you have to think about. That's what I understood. You know, in some of things. You know, like there was different things that I had to understand, and the way they need to cut through the mix. You know, and all these things. How to warm things up when the recording has, you know, it's you know, you're trying to round the sound and make it fat. You know, when it's not fat. You know,
right.
Find those frequencies to make those trumpets not sound like, you know, like really piercing, you know.
Yep.
Find it so it sounds round. It's all these things I learned a lot on doing that, you know. So that there were examples there. Whenever I've got a few things that sometimes I got to listen to. I reference a lot back sometimes. Depends on what I'm doing, you know. Like if it's something that I'm doing where it's like live instruments and it's kind of, you know, on the funky side and soul stuff, you know. I mean, I'll reference back to a lot of the Quincy Jones stuff that he's done, you know, like with Michael Jackson and all those things. I love those recordings, you know. I love how they sit in that genre of music, you know. There's other things that I listen to, like when I'm doing this, I've you know, even though it's a bad name to say nowadays, but the stuff that R. Kelly has done that sonically sounds fucking amazing, you know. It's just the vocals, the placement, and the music, and you just put the headphones on, it's like far out. That's R&B, you know. That's how that shit should sound like, you know. You hear it, and it's like amazingly done, you know. Heaps of things. There's some Michelle and Joe Siolo stuff sometimes I listen to. There's that track Jesus, you know, the one I'm talking about. Yeah, that track I like listening to that, because that sonically to me I always hear things in that track.
Right.
Sometimes other things, you know, like there's a whole bunch of things that I listen. I like listening to old school stuff. Depends on what I'm recording.
Yeah,
I'm doing, where I'm putting my head out, where I'm at, you know, musically. You know. Yeah. If I'm recording guitars, you know, like electric guitars, I'll go and listen to that kind of stuff. If I'm going to record that, I'll try and get in the zone of that and try and listen more on that kind of music, so that way I give him justice. You know? It's very hard to record classical guitar.
Yeah, right.
Very hard to pull that sound so that it sounds, you know, so that it sounds like a winning sound. You know, it's not just a guitar with nylon strings.
Yeah, you got to trying to catch the whole thing, aren't you? Like all the timbre of the instrument, plus the sliding fingers and the nails and the whole
all that.
Yeah, the whole
and every instrument is the same, man. Like trying to capture that snare drum to sound glorious. It's bloody hard, man. It's not easy. So all those are challenges, and every time I'm doing it, it's always a challenge. Even when I'm like, even not recording, like when I'm making a beat here, like with machine or doing it, I'm trying to find a snare or find a kick or a hat that works with the song.
Yep.
Like just that you go into a hole where you're looking for a sound. When I'm working with the synths, I'm trying to find a synth sound or the pad that I can hear it in my head, but I can't find it. I have to find it and try and make it, you know, try and make something that's awesome. And then you end up with the sound and you go, fuck, it's there. Yeah. Found it.
Yeah.
You know? And it's like all of a sudden, as you know, I mean, like sometimes it's like if you find the right sound, sometimes it makes this song.
Totally, yeah.
You know, it's like, you know, even just a delay, the right delay. If you use the right delay, all of a sudden it's like it's made the song. Before you put that delay on, the song didn't sound right. The delay on it's like that's it.
Yeah. And you can almost hear these days the songs that have grabbed preset number such and such on that sauce synth. And preset such and such on that compressor, and you can almost hear it. It's almost becoming a generic sound in some cases. But then the music that you can tell when someone's gone into sound design. They've found that sound. They've they've got that patch, but that patch doesn't sound right, so they've made that work. Not with a preset, you know. They've worked the filters on the synth or something not generic, you know, found that sound to suit that song, you know.
100%. And that's what it's all about. It's about, well, the thing is that it's a hard thing to answer, man, because I always find it like difficult to kind of talk about that part of production, because just because someone doesn't go deep into finding the right sound doesn't mean that the song is great, or doesn't mean that the song's shit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, to me it's a combination of the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
So some people are really good at writing songs and making them great, and some people are really good at pulling sounds.
Mm-hmm.
You know, some people are really great at, you know, laying down a groove, but they're not great at, you know, writing or something, or they're great at both, or they're great at writing but they can't play for shit. You know, or they're great at lyrics but the melodies are crap. You know, so I always find if the song works, I think that's the most important thing. Right. If that makes sense.
It does, yeah.
But yeah, like it's all
subjective, isn't it? Totally.
It's all subjective, and then that's when like sometimes you're working with someone, and then the energies and the right elements come together, and then you make something amazing because there's someone there that does all the elements work together, like the Beatles, you know, or like Led Zeppelin. Yeah. Or, you know, like Quincy and Michael, you know, like all these elements come together, you know, all those people that are working in that record or working in that music, it's just a magical thing that happens. You know, somebody was really good at pulling those guitar tones, and the other guy was really good at, you know, getting those horns right, you know, and it's all these things, you know. Yeah. It's, you know, the song was written, just the melody delivered, the singer delivers the melody the way it just should be. Like, you cannot do it any other way, you know.
That's it. And we want JR on drums for that, because he sounds like this, and we want Jeff Beccaro and Lukather on this one, because that's the sound we want, you know. Yeah,
exactly, man. So that's the thing, you know. It's like, it's that's to me that's the beauty. Judging, I mean, I find it really hard nowadays to kind of judge music, because. Maybe because I'm getting older, you know, I'm set in my ways, you know, we all get set in our ways, you know, we all become, you know, we you know, like our generations are different to the kids that are growing up today. Like my stepson, JJ, you know, he's 10 years old, and what he listens to and he likes listening to is like something I would not listen to, you know. I go, what the hell is he listening to? But that's just kids, you know, like, and then he's going to be into something, and then they're going to be, what are they going to listen to? His kids, you know, they're going to be into, and is our music going to be more like classical music to them? Because that's really what it's becoming, if you really think about it. Like, if you think about the old school bands, you know, Earth, Wind and Fire, you know, all those things are like, it's almost like classical music in a lot of ways. Because it's I don't know what's going to happen in the next generations. We're still holding the flag up for all those music, you know, for all that kind of style. But is it going to be a thing in 50 years' time? Yeah. Is it? Or is it going to be something that, I mean, it's different to classical music because it's got this rhythm. Has the African thing going on, where it's like it moves you, you know. But in the sense that it's like, you look at it like, go, wow, they used to do that, you know, because we look at it now like that. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Yeah. There's not many Earth, Wind and Fires around anymore.
Yeah, that's right. After hearing what you've just said these last few minutes, I've probably a little unfair of me saying that a lot of people, like, I can hear that generic type music with that preset, blah blah blah. I'm not really thinking about the person that's made that music. I mean, so they probably haven't got maybe the ears that little bit more trained ears, but that's the song that they've created in that moment, and to them it sounds fantastic. So I was probably a little bit of a dick saying that. I apologize.
No, I don't think so, man. I don't think you are. I think it's just, look, I feel, I mean, you know, I'm not going to share all my thoughts on every single music that I hear. I mean, I hear a lot of music that I hear and I go, that's shit, you know. Right. I'm not into it. I don't like it. Now, when it comes down to, like I said, you know, when we first said, you know, like they have this whole thing about we live in a little bubble, you know, on Facebook and stuff, and then we think that everybody's like a greenie and everybody's into organic foods, you know, shit, you know, like, you know, and it's not like that.
No.
It's not like that at all. It's like, so music is the same, you know, like, I feel that the little bubble that I'm in, that I like listening to, and the music, the influences that I have is just a little bubble. And so many people have other influences. Some people learn, you know, there's new skills, you know. When Ableton first came out, I remember I used to look at it and I used to go, what the fuck's this? You know, like, because I was recording music and I wanted to record real instruments, and it's music and blah, 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 whatever. You know, it doesn't matter. All those things, I guess, is part of the change. It's like the whole thing. I saw this post not long ago from some music guys that put it up, and they're going, oh yeah, what's, you know, this, you know, this rapper is calling themselves musicians. And I just go, and to me, I think it's such an ignorant thing to say, because the poetic message and the rhythm in the rhymes, you know, it's so powerful. It's one of the most powerful things.
Yep.
By being able to rap, you can write the most powerful lyrics, more even so than in song.
For sure.
You know?
Yep.
It's the depth that you can go into it is amazing, and it's only because, you know, when I grew up, I know you're probably the same. You remember it was either headbangers or you were a bomber, you know. So it was. So you, what were you, to fucking heavy metal? Or
I was a metal guy, man.
Or rap, you know.
No, I was metal until Anthrax and Public Enemy came together.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was like, oh, what?
Oh,
you know? Then I heard Ice-T.
Yeah.
You know, with distorted guitar. I'm like,
and Rage Against the Machine.
Yeah, it was like, what the hey, you know. But it definitely started just on the metal side of thing with, you know, Metallica and Megadeth and Slayer and Testament and that kind of stuff. And yeah, until that sort of crossover happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I had same. I had but I came from a different kind of thing, you know. Like I was already into like a lot of funky stuff before, you know, and I was listening to George Benson and all this stuff, and then I discovered electric guitar, and I got right into. I wanted to play metal, you know, so I was listening to Testament and Metallica and Megadeth and Led Zeppelin, and then that wore off really quickly, actually, man. That lasted a few years, and then I was back into this other thing, and then I was right into Bobby Brown.
Yeah,
I fucking love Bobby Brown, man. It was just, you know, it's his classic albums are just mad.
Yeah,
it's just such a sound and such a iconic vibe. You know, it's just, you know,
every little step I make.
Yeah,
you'll be there every little.
Yeah, that's right.
That's it.
And Humping Around, that record is great. That's a great record.
You got carpal tunnel in your left wrist, is that right? Left wrist?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
When I came to your studio just before Christmas to interview Lily for the podcast. If you haven't heard that, by the way, go back and listen. It's awesome. It's great. Yeah, I noticed that strap on your wrist, and I think I asked you about it. So
yeah,
how you going with that? And has the kind of the break away from gigging been a hindrance, or has it not helped?
It's helped.
Oh, it has. Okay. Yep.
It's helped not playing so much.
Okay.
What was I gonna say? This thing that I wear, this little glove thing that I put on, it helps me so much. It's the best thing I've ever found. Before that, I used to live in agony.
Yeah, right.
I was in agony every day. I got told I had to get operated, and the guy, they checked me and they said that I had it in both hands. On the other hands, it was starting.
Oh, right.
I don't have anything on this hand. This
right.
hand's
okay.
The right hand's fine. The left hand is the problem. So I get pins and needles and stuff. But it all started because I lifted an amp in a bad angle.
Oh shit.
Yeah, and then all these problems started. So apparently you might have
snapped a little bone or something and
pushed it into the. It's in the back and my neck back.
Oh, right.
Nerve. And then this started, and then I feel pins and needles on my left side. So they get really enhanced here on this side.
Right.
But I started wearing this thing, and then plus I think because of that also I got carpal tunnel.
Ah, right.
But by wearing this thing, man, it helps me, and I don't have to get operated. I don't want to get operated. Fuck that, you know.
Yeah, that'll take you out for a while, eh?
And it's not just that; it's like a high risk situation. You know,
Yeah,
it's
right.
like the last thing is I'd rather play in pain because I love it than be fucked and not being able to play
Yeah.
be depressed.
Yeah. So what are the odds there of it kind of going the other way? If you had the operation, did they tell you that?
I've heard of people having problems, and some people come out on the other side and stuff.
Yep.
But like I said, there's an underlying problem behind it. So
Right.
I'm not gonna, like I wouldn't take the chance. Like
Fair enough.
I'll leave I'll keep on living with it until it's unlivable.
That's the way. That's the
Chop
way.
it off and get a new one.
That's it, eh? You probably will, but in a few years you probably can.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
That's what I'm
just
hoping for.
order a new one.
Yeah, I'm hoping for what's its name?
Yeah. UAD will probably make one.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. A plug-in that you can put on.
Yeah. Now, earlier today, I contacted you and I said, I've got a segment on the podcast here where I've asked you to choose one song, and it's only one song that's had the biggest impact on you. And so what we're going to do is I know what that is because, like I said, we had that discussion. So I'm going to put it over to you to introduce the song, and then we'll start talking about it. Okay. So over to you, man.
Well, I'll tell you about this. The reason why I chose this song, right? It's something that I heard since I was little. You know, I remember seeing it when it first came out, and it impacted me the whole record. You know, the whole record. But I just chose this song because it's part of that record. You know, I remember watching. In Chile, watching the video hits style music shows, watching this, and then they will talk about Michael Jackson this, Michael Jackson that, and then Quincy Jones, and then Michael Jackson, Quincy Jones, and Michael Jackson. And the arrangements and the musicality and the playing and the melodies, Michael Jackson's rhythm to sing, to be able to interpret those songs and those ideas, the feel of the whole thing. That's what captivated me. And then that's like, that's what for me is one of the most, that album and a lot of other albums, but this record is really important in my life, I think. Has shaped a lot of things that I want to do, shaped a lot of things that, you know, when I write, you know, I can, you know, I got to meet Quincy at the beginning of this year. And I spoke to him for a moment, and it was, even though it was just for a moment, but it was life-changing in a lot of ways, because of who he is and because who he's been and the legacy that he leaves behind, and the fact that I just got to shake his hand and say something to him and be somehow touched by divine light.
Right,
you know?
right.
He is my Jesus.
Yeah, I gotcha.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does,
But like I said to you before, you know, it's like, it just depends on how I feel. And then this, to me, it's in a lot of ways, because of a lot of the music that I've been doing and that I do, it reflects on a lot of things that I do. Thriller, Michael Jackson Thriller, you know? Ah, yeah, there it is. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. We're doing the Michael Jackson steps, by the way. Yeah.
So, like you said, was it the video you saw first of this?
Man, you know, I saw the video. It was like the premiere, it's a premiere on, you know, I don't know if you remember this. Do you remember that?
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Oh,
it was it was huge.
It was massive.
It was fucking huge in Chile. It was like the biggest thing ever.
Yeah.
And then watching when they were making of, I remember they did the whole thing. It was on the radio all the time.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
It was on TV all the time. It was, they would play it on there. And I remember Dauno was so scared of the video.
Oh,
but
was
he
he?
loved it. Yeah, because he was like 4 years old.
Right.
you know, or 3 years old, 3.5 years old, and because he had all the scary monsters in the video.
Does anybody know this?
Huh?
Does anybody know that?
What's that? That he was scared?
Yeah.
No, I don't know. I don't know.
They do now.
Yeah, they do now. Yeah. So he was a little boy, you know.
Yeah.
He was a little boy, and he
Yeah.
was scared. He used to like turn around and go like, we would be next to my daddy. He
Yeah,
goes,
right.
I don't want to watch it. And he'll open his head. I don't want to watch it, but he loved it. He used to.
Yeah,
He used to dance like Michael Jackson, copy the dances and stuff. It was great, you know. And yeah, I've always loved the music. Yeah, it speaks to me in so many levels, you know.
Very cool, man.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. Right. So just who would you like to work with? Or who would you like to do a session for or have call you up?
Oh, wow. If I have to say, for example, singers, or let's say if I had to work with a singer, there's many different people that I like to work with for many different reasons. I like to work with Joe, the R&B singer. Joe, I love that guy, man. He's such an amazing voice. If I had to work with, I don't know, females, who's I don't know. It's such a hard question to ask me. I mean, you know, I would have loved to, if I would have had the opportunity to work with Michael, that would have been the ultimate for me. I would love to be with Quincy, just not even work with him, just have another chat with him and have a proper chat with him, just to be just to be in that zone. I like to go back to Babyface Studio. I was there in LA last time, and I would just like to do something with him. I would love to work. I would love to be part of that for a moment. See how much am I out of depth?
Yeah, right.
I love to do that. When it comes to musicians, I mean, I love like when it comes to recording, for example, if I had to record, I love recording great musicians, amazing musicians, people that can really play the shit out of the instrument. And I'm not talking just because they're such an amazing virtuoso. It's just someone that really understands how to play that instrument for what they're recording, you know? There's such a big difference in recording someone that doesn't know, that don't know, that doesn't know, as opposed to someone that really knows. And there are what's the word that I'm trying to find? Someone that's amazing at giving you that experience, you know?
Yeah, right.
When you hear someone, you know, when they say Tony's in the fingers, you know?
Yeah, I gotcha.
It's that, you know, it's like that control of being able to control a guitar or a drum kit, you know? There's certain guys that sit on a drum kit. The same drum kit, you change drummers, you put a different drummer, it sounds totally different. Yeah. Same sticks. Yep. That kick drum sounds different. Yep. If you can't hear it, then you're not ready to listen to it. You know? But that's what I'm talking about. It's like those are the kind of people that I like to work with. I love working with great songwriters, someone that comes sing with a song, and they're able to record it, and then I don't even have to produce it; just press record.
Yeah, right. Yeah, gotcha.
Or you know, like it's not about that for me. You know, like if it's a beautiful thing that I'm working on, it's just fun. You know, production wise, I love producing. That's another thing that I love. I love doing. I love working with someone that we can find a sound. I love finding, like, you know, I'm like, originally I was I love singing, right? But I don't sing because I can't sing for shit. And I'm not gonna sing. I'm not gonna start today singing. because it's just not something I would do. But I really understand. I feel that I really understand the human voice, you know, and I understand that you can pull so many different sounds out of a voice. A voice, you know, when you with your voice, you're able to copy the sound of a dog. You're able to make the sound of a punch. You know,
Yep.
You're able to copy a chipmunk and then also put a low voice. You know, you can do so many things with the voice. The human voice is the most flexible instrument there is ever. There's nothing that can do that. There's no synthesizer. There's nothing. The human voice can do it. And for a singer to understand that, it's very difficult for a singer to understand that. And I feel that I can help guide singers to achieve those things that they haven't yet explored, to take him out of the comfort zone, and especially the great ones, because the great ones have already something amazing. And then if you can find that divine moment in that, that's where you come in, and then you go, bam, and then people can go, wow, listen to that record. It's amazing. Listen to that amazing singer. How does it sound? Wow, it's the best thing they've ever done. And a lot of the time it's because, of course, amazing thing about that producer that's behind them, that's been able to help them get to that, you know, get that performance out of them, you know, get that emotion across, you know. That's what I love. Yeah.
And going back to gear on that, like especially, you know, microphones, you talk of vintage microphones and microphones that have a certain tone. You know, you hear someone and you know they're coming in. What's going to make your job so much easier if you've got that mic in your mic locker and you can put it up and put it on that voice, and that's basically all you have to do with that voice, and just let her sing instead of going, hang on, I haven't quite got the sound. It takes away from that the performance, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It's, you know, what you're saying right there, I mean, it's such a complicated thing though, you know, because I found that, you know, I mean, and it's because my studio is pro and project in a lot of ways, you know, and because it's in that level, it's you know, it's always a hard thing to kind of think about that, but I understand it now, you know. I understand it now. I understand the mic thing, and sometimes, you know, the U87 doesn't work.
Yeah, right.
You know what I'm saying?
I do. Totally.
So, like,
yeah.
the U87.
But what I mean is that, like, with, you know, you know what I'm. You know,
I know where you're going, and that's what I'm trying to answer.
Yeah,
I'm trying to answer, like, the U87 doesn't work, and then the same person, I pull out a different mic that it's like not the expected thing, and that's great on the voice.
Yeah,
right?
even the cheap J car mic, you put that up, and all of a sudden,
that's well, never to that level, but yeah. Like, for example, with Carlos, you know, and I'll bring his example because that's one of the times that we did a shootout with him, you know, with the mics.
Okay.
So I put a U47. I got a U47 Neumann, a FET U47.
Yep. I
put a U87. I put a TLM 170 Neumann. I put a Coles 4038. I put a Sony C38B. I put the Townsend Labs Phi, which is a new mic that's a modeling mic that everybody raves on about. What else did I put up? I put a SM7B and a SM7, an original vintage one, which Michael used a lot too, the SM7. I put all those mics, and then we did a bit of a test just to hear what we were really digging. And then as Carlos was hearing it, we started to zone into the mics. I can't remember exactly where we ended up, what were the three top favorites, but the favorite was the Sony C38B.
Right.
And that's kind of like if you think about it, it's kind of a bit of a left center mic, right? Because, like, I'm not sure if you've heard of the mic, but it's a mic that not many people know about. It's a kind of one of the one of the secret mics, you know, if that makes sense. It's an amazing microphone. And it just really worked because with the stuff that we're recording and stuff, and his voice just sounded beautiful, sounded nice and warm and present, and it just worked, you know? So we used the mic and over the other choices that we had, because we had quite a few choices to choose from, and all good mics. There was nothing wrong with any of them that they would have all worked if their choice wasn't there, you know. But yeah, it was amazing just to hear their voice. Speaking of mics, I just bought a new mic a couple of weeks ago. I bought it, and here comes the pride, because it's made in Chile.
Right.
It's made in Chile. Stam Audio is the brand, and it's a copy of another Sony mic. It's a copy of a C800G, which is an iconic mic, you know, like very, very sought after. And I've been trying to find an original one. And before the pandemic, I was about to drop 15K on an original
really?
one. Yeah. I was gonna drop that money. I was going fucking crazy. I thought, fuck it, I'm gonna buy it, you know. But the pandemic hit, man, and I'm glad I did not spend that money, man, because otherwise I would have been stuffed. So I did a lot of work, you know. And I was saving, you know. I was saving for that, you know. So I had the money to kind of do that and just do it, you know. I was gonna do it, and it was gonna put me in a situation where I had to keep working really hard. And if I would have spent that money, it would have been really stressful during this time, you know. So a good thing I didn't. But then I found this, and then there was a guy here in Australia that had it, and I bought it off him, brand new. And I recorded now. I've done 2 sessions with it, 2 big sessions. I did a session a couple of weeks ago when I first got it. There was a girl that came and recorded, and it's phenomenal, this microphone.
Yeah, right.
Fucking out of this world. And we recorded yesterday. We had a recording session with Paulini, and it just sounds like the business. Straight through the Avalon. I didn't compress it or EQ it yet. I'm gonna do that later with other stuff that I got, but just sounds beautiful. It's so warm, and so the right frequencies are right there. It's incredible. So I'm really happy with it. Maybe it's the flavor of the month for me, but we're really digging it. So
I'll ask you about it next month. How'd you go? Oh, no, shit.
Oh, that piece of shit, I sold it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, man. Yeah, so yeah, and guitars is the same thing, man. You know, I've got a lot of guitars, man. Like my I love my Fenders. You know,
cool.
So I played a Ibanez Jam Floral for many years, and I was trying to find the Fender sound on that thing, and I could never find it. I didn't know why. You know, because I was coming from the Steve Vai sort of school, you know.
Yeah.
And in reality, what I really wanted was a Fender. Right. I wanted a Strat, but a Strat with a humbucker. But I couldn't. But I was trying to find those sounds in the Ibanez, and it just didn't work. But when I switched to Fender, and finally I was able to tune into the guitar. It was a great thing, you know. So
very cool.
Yeah.
Andro Martinez, man, this has been awesome.
Thanks, brother.
So glad we finally got to do this.
Yeah, we've been talking about it for a while.
For a long time, since almost the beginning. It's just never kind of happened, eh? Like, we're both too busy, and the times will always clash. Yeah. And I was supposed to be out at your studio last week, but you got sick, and I'm supposed to be there today, but I've got to get up in a couple of hours to go to work. So if I'd come out there, it would have been another hour and a half before I got to bed. So
yeah, that's it, man.
But this is cool, man. It's look forward to hanging out in the room with you, and
welcome anytime, man.
Sweet as. All right, brother. Man. Take it easy, man, and look after yourself, and we'll catch up with you soon.
Thank you, man. I'll see you soon.
Sweet, man.
Bye.
See ya.
Don't you know you're making me high? dance. Shake your body, baby, dance with me. Twist it around, baby, dance with me. Shake your body, baby, dance with me. Move it around, baby, dance with me. Shake your body, baby, dance with me. Twist it around, baby, dance with me. Shake your body, baby, dance with me. Twist it around, baby, dance with me. Shake your body, baby, dance with me. Come on.
Around, baby, dance with me.